Maybe this is what you know of Cape Breton Island. The scenery, the soundtrack. Welcome to Mabu, Nova Scotia, known for its céilís and its culture. Proudly handed down from generation to generation.
Oh, here they come.
In the same way the farmers here have taught their children to live off the land.
Harley.
And in these parts, raise cattle.
Ready to go.
A kind of farming that has seen better days.
Okay, girl.
A declining industry where the profit margins are often thin, the hours long and hard. No, the cattle business, it's not for everyone.
It's stressful on me and my wife and 5 children, and yeah, it's stressful, so.
For some, farming is in their blood. People like Norman Kirsten.
Hey, Darcy.
And yes, at just 28, he's already a father of 5,
There's Carter.
with a 6th on the way.
He's going to be on TV. You want?
He and Chrissy are high school sweethearts. Norman loves life in the country,
Darcy, where's your shoes?
and he's desperate to make cattle farming his career and raise his kids in Cape Breton.
That mine.
He's a 3rd-generation Cape Breton farmer, and he's trying to make it work.
I've been involved with cattle my entire life. My father has a dairy farm, and my oldest brother's taking that over, so I'm scratching and clawing with every opportunity I have to do what I love to do and raise my kids the way I want to raise my family. And
He scraped together what he had and invested it in about 200 head of cattle, valued at close to $200,000. But there's a problem.
I'm a registered farmer, but I have no place to keep my cattle in the summer times.
That's right. Norman's a farmer with no firm. He has cattle, but no burn. It's a common problem among young people who want a life on the farm, their own farm.
You can't buy a farm without income, and if you don't have cattle for income, you won't be able to, they won't even look at you at the bank. You know, there's so many walls in front of us that we have to climb up and over, and we fall off on the way up.
For now, he shuttles his livestock around to rented farms, a few at a time, because he has no pasture of his own. This community wants to keep farming alive and ambitious young farmers in business. So it's helping Norman and farmers like him climb the mountain in their way. This isn't your typical country road. It's a rough and rugged 7-kilometer drive high in the Cape Breton Highlands. At the top, there's close to 200 hectares of pasture that's any farmer's for the taking. And it might just be Norman's saving grace.
Come on, guys.
Is it important to you to get them up here? Tell me about that.
Well, if I can't get them up here, well, then I have nowhere to put them, so it's very important to have them here, so.
You need this for your farming operation.
That's what it is, yeah. Are you ready to run through?
Almost, and anybody that doesn't have a farm number, we're gonna put a tag on it, right?
Perfect, saves me having to go and do it.
Exactly. Okay, she's ready to go.
Okay.
The helping hand comes thanks to farmers like Chris Vandenheuvel, a successful Mabu dairy farmer and a driving force behind an effort to revive the community pasture. Depending on an animal's weight,
You want to just pull that,
a
Daryl?
farmer like Norman is charged up to 68 cents a day to have his cattle stay here. Each one is tagged so farmers can keep track of their cattle before they're let out to graze for the summer.
If you can buy the cattle first and you can put them here and then you generate income that first year, then you can look for a place to keep them second, right? So without this place, it's, for me, I don't exist. So it is, I don't know what to tell you.
It's critical.
It's critical. It's very critical.
This place, high among the clouds, has quite a history. It's prime land cleared by early Scottish settlers, at one point a vibrant little community on the Western Capes with its own post office, church, and school. But harsh winters and the call of modern conveniences eventually drove them down the mountain. The homesteads they built are now just shells, evident to only those who take the time to look for them.
So what do you think about when you walk through these hills and you know the history of farming here and you're back farming here? What do you make of it all?
Well, I mean, there is so much history here, and it's important for us to reflect on that and to kind of keep that alive, right?
Van den Heuvel grew up with the stories.
What are we looking at right here, do you think?
So this is a house foundation for Archie Rankin's place. It would have been. This is his farmstead here, and if we look back over in this direction over there, that pile of stones over there would have been where his barn would have been located. And I'm not sure how many acres he would have farmed up here, but when you talk to the old folks, I mean, they kept a couple of beef cows and some sheep and some goats and pigs and chickens and whatnot. So.
They had something right. It's a good place to raise cattle.
Well, it's an incredible place. When you talk to some of the folks around that have been involved in agriculture for the last number of years around here, they always say that the land up here in the Cape is some of the best in the province, and definitely amongst the best in Cape Breton.
More than 60 years ago, the government turned the area into a community pasture, cleared more land, a bid to keep the cattle industry strong back then. But then, a little more than a decade ago, mad cow disease knocked many older farmers out of business because they couldn't export their meat anymore. It was part of an overall trend that has seen close to 3/4 of the Cape Breton farmland fall out of production. So, the community pasture waned. But it's an idea whose time has come again.
So what do you think when there's a guy like Norman there who's a young guy, young family he has to feed and take care of, and he's decided agriculture is how he's going to do it, and this land here in the Highlands might just help him do it?
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's, to be honest with you, that's exactly, that type of fellow is exactly, and that type of family is exactly who we were after when we, and who we had in mind when we started to revitalize this. Without this asset here, it simply wouldn't have happened for him. When you look at the bigger picture, it's not just about agriculture. It's a big, big picture that we're after, and we're very glad to be part of it.
Be a part of the not-for-profit effort that is nurturing, preserving a way of life that has sustained people here for generations. Before these cows could graze these pastures again, there was a lot of work to be done. Back in May, when the Cape's snow had barely melted away, hundreds of hectares of fencing needed repair.
Right now we have about 320 or so acres on this side fenced off, and this year the goal is to fence off the rest of it and utilize everything on this side of the road. So.
And all of it was done by volunteers, people from the communities around Mabu, people who want to see local farming live on. Chris Van den Heuvel's own teenage daughters among them.
We'll go over there, Chris, and we'll stop and then I'll just show the girls.
So we're starting down by the pond?
We're starting, no, right where you cross the road there.
Right, yeah, right by that pond there, and then go around the woods, is it?
Maybe they'll one day see agriculture as an option for them.
Okay.
As far as this one reaches?
Yeah. Oh, that's as far as that one goes?
Yeah.
Don't worry too much about those.
It's a kind of a community project, the pasture, and it's an assembly line. It all works good though.
That's that community connection that I think that that farmers are particularly in tune to. It's not just about the land, which is a very, very important part, but it's about the community as a whole.
Taking their cattle here means farmers can free up their own land, if they have it, to make hay for winter. So they lug the cattle up to the Cape, putting them out to pasture beside their neighbors.
We like the lifestyle, so, yeah.
You think you can do it?
No, I know I can. There's a difference, I know. I'm just gonna do it.
What do you think the people who used to live here and what are now ruins of these old properties, what do you think they would think about you guys revitalizing this?
I would like to think that they're happy to see it. I mean, all of their work that went into it, they probably think we might be a little bit crazy at the same time. I'm not sure.
Because they left, remember?
They left, yeah, probably for a good reason. All joking aside, I think that Cape Breton especially is steeped in tradition, and that connection between younger generations and older generations is really strong, and you see that in all of their culture, right? That's prevalent here. I think that they would be happy, and I'd like to think that they're looking down at us from above saying, yeah, good job. Yeah.
I kind of think they are.
Yeah, I hope so, yeah.
Yes, it's a special place. Its past, the key to its future. A way of life being rescued by the very hills that helped shape it. Tom Murphy, CBC News, Mabu, Nova Scotia.